I found the account late at night when Daniel's phone buzzed on the counter, the screen lighting up with a notification from a name I had never seen before, tagged under an account that didn't exist in his contacts. And when I clicked it, I froze. The profile was his, but under another name, filled with smiling selfies and messages to strangers that read like he was single, free, and searching. I scrolled through his secret account, my heart racing, each picture showing Daniel in the same clothes he wore at home, but smiling in ways he never smiled with me. The captions reading things like, "Single life is the best," and "Looking for someone who gets me." And I couldn't stop reading the comments from strangers flirting back, as if I had just stepped into a part of his life he never wanted me to see. I wanted to confront him right away, but when Daniel came into the room, yawning and asking why I was still awake, I froze, slipped his phone back onto the counter, and forced a smile, pretending nothing was wrong, though inside I was screaming, wondering how long he had been living this double life. The next morning, I told Chloe about what I saw, and her voice went sharp on the phone, saying, "That's not a small lie, Amelia. That's a whole fake life he's building." And even though I tried to defend him, my chest felt heavy because I knew she was right. This was not something small I could ignore. That night, I checked the account again, and there were new posts, fresh pictures of Daniel smiling at his desk at work. The caption saying, "Monday blues, but staying positive," and strangers commented with hearts and flirty emojis, while I sat there, shaking, because he had just kissed me goodbye before leaving that morning, and now he was pretending to be someone else to the world. I started watching him more closely, noticing how he kept his phone face down on the table, how he smiled at notifications when he thought I wasn't looking, and how he excused himself to the bathroom for too long. And with each moment, I felt like I was losing the Daniel I thought I knew. One evening, James, Daniel's colleague, mentioned casually over drinks that Daniel was pretty popular online, and when I pressed him, his eyes widened like he had said too much. And I realized James knew about the account too, which made the betrayal feel even bigger, like everyone else was in on it but me. That night, Daniel noticed I was quiet and asked if something was wrong, but instead of telling the truth, I just shook my head because I needed to know more before I confronted him. And the silence between us felt like a wall growing taller every day. I tried to test him by asking who he talked to online, but he laughed it off, saying, "Just boring work chats," while his eyes flickered toward his phone, and I wanted to scream because the lies came out of his mouth so easily, like he had practiced them. When I showed Chloe some of the posts, she leaned in close, her jaw tight, and said, "This isn't just flirting, Amelia. He's presenting himself as single." And her words burned into me, because deep down I knew she was right, and that meant everything about our relationship was now a question mark. Daniel surprised me with flowers that weekend, smiling like nothing was wrong, and while he kissed my cheek, all I could think about was how many other people he was smiling for, how many strangers believed they were special to him, and I forced myself not to cry. I stayed up late again, scrolling through his hidden account, and that's when I saw her, Ella from Manchester, bold and direct in the comments, calling him handsome and saying she wanted to meet. And when I checked his messages, I saw he had replied, "Maybe soon," and my stomach dropped. I couldn't sleep after seeing his message to Ella, so I sat in the dark living room with my hands shaking, wondering if I was being paranoid or if this was the start of him leaving me, and I knew the truth couldn't stay hidden much longer. The next day, Daniel acted perfectly normal, making me tea and asking about my work. But I couldn't focus because all I could hear in my head was Ella's comment echoing, and I felt like I was living in a play where everyone knew their lines except me. I told Tom, my brother, about everything, and his first reaction was anger. He clenched his jaw and said, "You deserve better than this." But I could hear the frustration in his voice because he wanted to fix it for me, and this was something I had to face myself. That night, I tried to test Daniel again by asking if he ever wanted to visit Manchester, and for a split second, his face changed, like I had touched a nerve, before he quickly covered it up with a laugh, and I felt my heart break in real time. When Chloe heard about Ella, she pushed me harder than ever, saying, "You can't let him play you like this, Amelia. You need to confront him." And though my stomach twisted at the thought, I promised her I would, because the lies were eating me alive. That evening, I finally gathered the courage, waiting until Daniel came home. And I looked him straight in the eyes and said, "Who is Ella?" And the way his face drained of color told me everything before he even spoke. Daniel stuttered, trying to laugh it off, saying Ella was just a random follower. But his voice cracked, and the lie was too weak, too fast, and I realized he hadn't expected me to ever find out. I pushed harder, showing him the messages, and his hands shook as he reached for the phone, begging me to not overthink it. But the more he spoke, the more it felt like he was scrambling to hold his secret life together with tape. When I asked him why he needed another life online, he went silent, his eyes darting away, and in that pause, I felt the weight of every excuse, every lie he had fed me, and I knew he couldn't answer honestly without breaking us apart. Instead of an answer, he flipped it on me, asking why I was snooping through his phone, and I felt my chest tighten, because even now, even caught, he wanted me to feel guilty instead of him. I told Chloe what happened, and she didn't hold back, calling him a manipulator and warning me that this would only get worse if I stayed. But my heart wasn't ready to let go, even though my head screamed at me to run. The next morning, I checked the account again, hoping he had deleted it. But instead, there was a new post, a mirror selfie with the caption, "Fresh start coming soon." And my stomach twisted as I wondered if that fresh start meant life without me. I decided I couldn't wait any longer. I told Daniel I wanted to see Ella, and at first he laughed nervously, saying it was impossible, but I pressed, and finally he admitted she was real and that he had plans to meet her soon. The confrontation was set for the next evening at a cafe in central London. When Ella arrived, she smiled brightly at Daniel, completely unaware of the chaos she had caused. And I felt a surge of anger and relief at seeing the truth with my own eyes. Daniel stammered, trying to explain, but Ella looked confused, asking why I was there, and for the first time I realized he had been juggling lies for so long that even she didn't fully know what was real, and I felt a strange clarity wash over me. I spoke calmly but firmly, telling them both how betrayed I felt, how the hidden account and secret messages shattered the trust between us, and Daniel could only nod, silent, knowing there was no excuse strong enough to fix this. Walking home afterward, I felt the weight lift slightly, even though my heart still ached. Chloe and Tom met me at the flat, and for the first time in weeks, I felt surrounded by people who truly had my back, reminding me that I didn't have to accept betrayal to survive. The next morning, Daniel was gone, his keys and phone left on the counter. I took a deep breath, scrolling through my own messages, realizing I was free to rebuild my life without lies. And as sunlight filled the flat, I smiled for the first time in weeks, finally ready to choose myself.